This is the maftir for this Shabbos. It's always read right before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. HaChodesh hazeh lechem Rosh Chodoshim, Rishon ho lechem lechodshei Hashana. This month shall be for you the beginning of all months, shall be for you the first of all the months of the year. Look at the word Chodesh in the Pasuk, Gershom. How many times is the word Chodesh written in the Pasuk?
Yeah, the Maftir of this week's Parashat, right?
It's written, it's the Maftir this week's Parashat on page 194. The word Chodesh in Pasuk Bet is written 3 times. What's it all about? HaChodesh Zelechem Rosh Chodoshim. Chodesh, Chodoshim, Chodshei. Why is the word Chodesh written 3 times in Pasuk Bet? The word Chodesh, Mordechai, comes from the word Chidush. Nisan, nature rejuvenates itself. Renews itself. That is a symbol that the month of Nisan, like nature, we have to renew ourselves. And we have to rejuvenate ourselves. That's why God made nature bloom in Nisan as a signal for us. Do like nature. It's time to renew yourself. Reinvigorate? Rejuvenate. Why is the word Chodesh written 3 times? Because every person in this world has a 3-way relationship. Gabriel, the way a person acts between him and God, the way a person acts between him and his friends, and the way a person acts between himself and his spouse. Some people are very good between man and God. But when it comes to their neighbors, their friends, they're out to lunch. Some people are very good with their friends. They're good to their fellow human beings. But when it comes to God, they're out to lunch. Some people are very good to God and to their friends. But when it comes to their spouse, they're out to lunch.
Chopped liver. Yeah. Person company.
So what do you do? So what do you have? What's the answer? What do you have?
The answer, the word Chodesh is written 3 times. The month of Nisan, a person has to work to renew his 3-way relationship. How he relates to God, how he relates to his fellow human being, and how he relates to what? His spouse. Therefore, the word Chodesh is written 3 times. Nisan. Time to renew and rejuvenate yourself. How do you treat your spouse? How do you treat your friends? How do you treat God? Oh, it's time to renew, reinvigorate. Look at nature.
How
Nisan.
is this renewal different from the renewal that we go through at the time of Rosh Hashanah? What's the difference?
Okay, glad you asked. Koyach, Reb Shmuel. Beitza 14 they begin, right?
Well,
Daf Yud Daled.
Yud Gimel Sunday.
Right.
Basically, you see, there's only one day, one more than the day.
Uh-huh.
Yud Daled is 15. Pesach Tet Vav.
So Beitza begins Daf Yud Daled, and it goes on Nishachag to Beitza Chav Gimel.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Very apropos. Masechta Beitza, Rav Shmuel, is Masechta Yontif.
Yeah, right.
It's all about Yontif. Very apropos, right? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So what about Rosh Hashanah? So ask a better question. The Maral asked the question differently. Is God trying to confuse us? We know that Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of creation.
Yeah.
When man was created, Rosh Hashanah. So why don't we celebrate Tishrei as the first month? Why does the Torah command us that Nisan is the first month? Shouldn't we celebrate the first month when God created the universe, which was when? Tishrei. That's what you're asking, no?
No, that's not what I'm asking. I understand that answer.
What's the answer?
The answer is the first month. This is the head of the month because it's the most important month.
But why? God created the universe in Tishrei. So why don't we count that as the numero
uno?
uno?
Out of Mitzrayim that we became
So
a people. Because
what's
when
more
we came out of
important,
Mitzrayim,
creation
we
of the
became a
universe
people.
or the creation when we became a people?
More important when we became a people.
That's for the morale. So God created the universe in Tishrei. But God created the Jewish people in Nisan.
Yeah.
So for him and us, that's more importanto.
Yeah.
So therefore we count Nisan as the first month,
Right.
not Tishrei, Moshe, because Nisan, yes, Tishrei created the world, but on Nisan he created Am Yisrael.
Right.
Yeah, but he's asking, why don't you have rejuvenation in Tishrei? It's that needs to be a relationship.
Look at nature. When does nature bloom? Does it bloom in Tishrei?
Now.
Why does it bloom in Nisan? It's koinky dinky? No, it's a signal for us. We have to bloom. Reevaluate the way
How is this
we
different from the reevaluation that we do at Rosh Hashanah?
look at nature. Why doesn't nature bloom in Tishrei? I don't know, something
Rosh
about
Hashanah, we
there's
make
something about Nisan.
Make a
The word
retrospective.
Nisan comes from the word Nes. It's the month of miracles.
The time to shine, Rabbi Sprecher.
Ah, what?
So time to shine, is that what it
Time to shine, to renew yourself. So therefore the word Moshe HaChodesh is written 3 times. This is the Haftorah that we're going to read the Shabbos. You know that? Chodesh, Chodshim, Chodshei Hashana. Pretty interesting, huh? Yeah.
In Nisan he created the Ruchnis.
What?
In Nisan he created the Ruchnis,
Yeah.
and in Tishrei Gashmis. This I read somewhere.
But I thought,
Okay,
he,
now,
I thought
okay.
he created the world in
Rabbi
7
Ya-
days, 6 days.
Wait, but when did God create the world? In Tishrei or in Nisan?
Before Adam and Eve.
It's
Because
actually
the
a
Gashmi is
machlokus
created
and tractate Rosh Hashanah.
They hardly get a seat.
When did God create the world? In Nisan or Tishrei? I'm a little mixed up. So Rabbeinu Tam says that both opinions are right. You hear this? In Nisan, God thought about creating the universe. In Tishrei, he actually did. Okay? Fine, you with me on this?
It took them that
Because
long
there-
to get the building permit.
There are 2 Tanoim who argue, building permit, it takes time to get it okayed. Machlokas, 2 Tanoim when God created, Nisan or Tishrei. So Tosef says, no Machlokas. Elu v'elu divrei Elohim chayim, once when he planned it and once when he carried it out, till he got the permits. We say on Rosh Hashanah, Hayom Harat Olam. Today is the birthday of today is your birthday. Da, 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 da. Hayom Harat Olam. We say on Rosh Hashanah, Moshe, today is the birthday of the world. Hayom Harat Olam.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Right, okay. Hayom Harat Olam, okay? Good. Where were we, Moshe? We're back in Parashat HaChodesh, which we always read before Nisan, and now you know why. Right? We have to duplicate nature. We knew ourselves and our relationship with God, with our friends, and
This is why
perhaps most important, with our spouse.
This is why we see Parsha, we learn between
Oh, what?
man between animal,
What?
we learned last
What?
Parsha. And
Yeah.
man between man and this Parsha.
Page 195. Now, let me tell you a beautiful word from my Rebbe Rapam. If you came just to hear this, now hear this. Parashat HaChodesh continues on page 197, Pasuk Yud Zayin. Ushmartem et amatzot. Right? You with me?
On the top.
On the top, you shall guard the matzos. What does that mean, Mark? Guard them, they shouldn't be stolen. 140 shekels a kilo. For 100 matzahs, you have to guard them, they shouldn't be stolen, right? Is that what it means?
Isn't that a lot of money they'll be charging for
What?
matzahs?
How much will they... Huh?
They shouldn't become wet, otherwise
Oh, what? Ephraim. What do you mean? Guard the matzahs, they shouldn't be stolen, right? Oh, very good. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay.
Has to sit for
1
7 or
minute.
8 minutes.
So let's read the verse. Ushmartem et amatzot. You shall guard the matzot. Ki be'etzem hayom hazeh, because in the middle of this day, hotzesi es tzivoseichem eretz Mitzrayim, did I take out your armies from the land of Egypt. Wow. Ushmartem et hayom hazeh, you shall guard this day. Which day? Pesach. L'roseichem chukat olam is an everlasting law to observe Pesach, right? Now look at Rashi. Rashi makes Ephraim's point. Does Ephraim make Rashi's point?
Shelo yava'u.
Who make whose point?
Shedei
Rashi Yud Zayin Shmartem et Hamatzot. So Rashi's puzzled. What do you mean? You guard them, they shouldn't be swiped? Put a burglar alarm. No, Shmartem et hamatzot, Rashi says, you have it? Shlo yavle de chimutz. They shouldn't come to what? Chometz. Bikan amru, tofach til toish b'tzaynin. You're a baker, and before the dough begins to swell, splash it with what? With cold water. Okay? Right, Ephraim?
Yeah.
Now that's good if you're a baker. Let's say you're not a baker. So the pasuk doesn't only apply to bakers.
So everybody has to.
So Rashi, not everybody bakes matzahs. You go to a store and you buy. So what does it mean for everybody else who's not a baker, Mordechai? So therefore Rashi brings another interpretation. And keep in mind, when Rashi brings two interpretations, Gershom, Achron, Chaviv. We know that Rashi and Tosfot, Klal Godel, when you're learning, wherever, Chumash or Gemara, when Rashi and Tosfos bring two explanations, they favor the second one because we know Achron, Chaviv. So why is Rashi not so happy with the first one? Because not everybody's a baker, Moshe, right? So therefore, Rashi says, Rabbi Shaya Omer, Al Tehi Kairid, not a second interpretation, equally true, but applying not just to bakers, even to candlestick makers. Al Tehi Kairid HaMatzot. Now, keep in mind, Gabriel, there are no dots in a Torah scroll. Look at the word matzot. There are no dots in a Torah scroll. Oh, beautiful, Ephraim. Ushmartem et ha-mitzvot. The word matzot, and no dots, can also be read as what? As guard the mitzvot. What does that mean? Al tikar et ha-matzot, ela et ha-mitzvot. Right? You have it, Ephraim.
Because eating matzah during Pesach, it's a mitzvah itself.
Wait a minute. Guard the mitzvahs. What does that mean, Mark? Kiderach she'ei machmitzin es ha-matzot, kach ein machmitzin et ha-mitzvot. Just like you don't allow the matzah to become chametz, don't allow any mitzvah to become stale. If a mitzvah comes to you, do it right away. Don't allow the mitzvah to become chametz. What does that mean?
Don't hesitate.
Go for what? Don't procrastinate. You have a mitzvah that comes to your hand, do it immediately. Now it's time to fasten your seatbelts. Said my Rebbe Rapam Zecher Tzadik Avrocha. It's close to learn by great rabbis. And he said as follows: which mitzvah do people always? Not always. They see me. That he noticed that people ignore. That the mitzvah, they allow it to get stale. They just pass it by.
I read it this week.
Now he said something. Then first, my turn. Then you'll. All right. He said, which mitzvah? Which mitzvah can Rashi be talking about? And many mitzvah, but what do people have a tendency, in his opinion, to let a mitzvah that comes to your hand, mitzvah shabali yatcha, that a mitzvah that comes to your hand constantly, and people what? Just brush it off. Which mitzvah are we talking about? What?
In the morning,
that's how my great Rebbe said. My great Rebbe said, turn to page 433.
I don't remember him saying that.
Well, he didn't say that, but
Oh, okay, that's okay.
I'm saying page 433, right? Take a look at page 433. This is the Birchot Kohanim, okay? That the Kohen says every day, right? The Birchot Kohanim, page 433. Look at Pasuk Chav Hey. Yoeh Adonai ponav alecha v'chineka. May God shine His face to you and give you grace. What does that mean? That's what it says, right? Look at this incredible Rashi. Rashi is Pasuk Chav Hey on the left column. See Chav Hey? Left column. You with me, Rabbi Yaakov? Yor Hashem ponav alecha. May God shine His face towards you. What does that mean? What does Rashi say? Bottom left column, Chav Hey. Any volunteers? Shachakot. God shows you a smiley face. There's a mitzvah in the Torah, V'alachta b'drachav. Mahu af'ata. My Rebbe always smiled. When you smile on a fellow human being, you are acting like God.
Which pasuk?
Pasuk Chav Hey. When the pasuk says, Yor Hashem panav alecha, may God shine His face on you, says Rashi, what does that mean? Yavelecha panav sakakot, God shows you a smiling face. And there's a mitzvah in the Torah, Mordechai, Valachta bedrachav, to emulate the boss. So when you smile on a fellow human being, you're imitating God. That's a mitzvah that comes to a person's hands, and a lot of people are not aware. Some people, like, they're constipated, they just can't smile. When you smile on a fellow human being,
Makes him want to smile.
you are doing which mitzvah? V'halachta b'drachav, which means what? Mahu af'ata. It's a mitzvah that comes to your hand and people don't even realize it. You allow the mitzvah to get stale. You hear that?
I have a question for you.
Smiley face?
Right. When you
Isn't that amazing? If God smiles on us, that's a simon. We have to smile on our fellow Jew. And when we do that, we're doing the mitzvah of walking in God's ways, which is repeated in Devarim again and again. And this is what my Rebbe said meant, don't allow the mitzvah that comes to your hand to get away from you, when you don't even realize it. Some people, they frown, but my great rabbis always had a shmeichel. A shmeichel and a twinkle in the eye. That's what made them great.
So here's another problem. No, okay, it's very good.
Like that?
So Sprecher had a question for you.
Shmartem et ha-mitzvot. Is a mitzvah that comes to your hand and you dismiss without even realizing it. Wow.
So when Brikas Kohanim, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
When I do the brachas and there's no Kohanim there, some people say Amen, or some people say King Yiratzon.
Ken Yiratzon, it doesn't matter. Whatever you say, just do it. Remember Nike? Doesn't matter. Amen, Ken
Right,
Yiratzon.
but there's a big difference between the translation of Amen and King Yiratzon. What does Amen we say?
Amen means Ken Yiratzon. That's what it means.
Maybe as well, right?
It's the same
What?
Maybe as well.
translation.
Arose by any other name. Amen means so be it, so it be your will. I affirm. And Ken Yiratzon means
Maybe it will.
maybe your will. It's very similar. Right? It's very similar. So where were we? Okay.
Also, I have to add.
Oh, you wanted to add?
Yes.
Yeah. What's another mitzvah that Moshe is going to tell us that comes to your hand
Yeah.
and people just dismiss it or not even aware of it? Boliyotcha. Yeah, go ahead.
They never tell someone you're gonna do something you're gonna do. A lot of people say, I'm gonna do this and this and this.
Right. So always
Time goes by.
right.
It gets so stale, it's like they never said it.
Or say bli
And-
nader.
and-
Say bli
And
nader.
the other person's depending that you're gonna do it. And they just don't do it.
Or
Why they open up mouth and say they're gonna do it?
say bli nader.
They don't even say
But
believe
do you know why? Can I tell you something? Because a lot of people,
No,
in
but
their hearts, they really want to do it, but their intentions, they want to do it, but then later something
They
happens.
procrastinate.
They procrastinate, and or don't think they can do it, or something happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's human nature. Everybody always wants to try to do something to help. Or
Right.
want to
But let's
do
move
something.
on. Moving on. This is the parsha that we're going to read the maftir, Mordechai.
Benefit of the doubt.
Mordechai, you have to study this parsha because we won't know what we're reading on Shabbos unless we go through this parsha. So page 196, Pasuk Yud Gimel. So you have to shech the korban Pesach and smear it what? On the doorpost and the sides of your house. Why is that? Look at 196 Yud Gimel. V'hoy adam lechem laot ala batim. The blood shall be for you for a sign on the houses. Asher atem sham, where you are there. V'riti et adam. God says, I will see the blood. O posachti aleichem, and I will pass over. Pass over. O posachti aleichem, I'll pass over you. V'liya behem negev, and there won't be no plague lamashchit for the destroyer ba'koshti be'eretz Mitzrayim when I strike in the land of Egypt.
And they say Hashem actually.
So where, Mordechai, was the blood smeared? On the inside or the outside? What?
Inside.
No, you see, you can't trust a movie.
Inside, not the outside.
Inside.
The inside of the door.
No, you can't trust
Isn't
it.
it?
Where was inside? Very good, yeah. The book is better. You're right. The movie shows that they smeared the
On the
blood where? On the outside. But the book is better than the movie. It says, "Ahoy adam lachem laot." What does lachem mean?
You should see it.
For you, look at Rashi Yud Gimel.
And that proves that Cecil B. DeMille.
Right, Cecil B. DeMille didn't learn Rashi, even though he was Jewish. He didn't learn
Was he
Rashi
Jewish?
because they had him smear the blood on the outside. Right? Rashi says no. It says lachem. Look at Rashi Yud Gimel, Rabbi Yaakov.
You know,
Right
they
column.
They did that as protections against people who say something bad about the Jews.
Well,
That's
let's
why
see
it's
why.
very
Let's
much-
look Yud Gimel. V'hoy adam lachem laot. You see Rashi on the right column?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's 6 lines down.
Yeah.
Lachem laot, for you for a sign, v'lo la'acherim, and not for others. Mikan, sh'notnu hadam elo, gershon elo where? Bifnim. Right? So why get the wallpapers dirty? I mean, God knows where we live. We know where you live. So the blood was smeared on the inside of the house, Moshe, unlike the movie on the outside. The question is why? Look at the next Rashi. Riti at Adam. And I will see the blood and I'll pass over. So what's Rashi's question? Hakol golu lefanav, Mordechai. Everything that's revealed in front of God, he knows. He has a GPS. I mean, he knows where we live. So he doesn't need a signal, especially it's on the inside of the house. So why get our walls smeared with blood? Why?
What's from where I go?
From the Shepsel, from the Korban Pesach. Right? Elo Amar HaKodesh Baruch Hu. God said, Noten ani et einai lirot she'atem asukim bebetzvotai uposeach ani aleichem. Right? God doesn't need a signal, Ephraim. But God says, I want to see that you are busy with doing my mitzvot, and therefore I'll pass over you. God didn't want to give us a welfare check. Gabriel, you get a welfare check, you lose respect for you. You know, sit on the stoop and you drink beer and play dominoes and wait for the welfare check. So God wants to earn his love, and by doing something, it's not for his sake, of course, it's for our sake, that we should have merit not to get a welfare check, because you lose your dignity, right?
Obama won't like you then.
Right? And
What about your Social Security check?
and therefore, we earned it. We worked for ourselves, right?
That's right.
So therefore, God says, do it on the inside of the house, and this way you'll earn your redemption, right? Interesting.
And the mezuzah,
What about the mezuzah?
it's usually outside.
Mezuzah inside and the outside. Every room has to have a mezuzah,
When you come in an apartment from outside, you
No.
do it in the outside.
but inside the house there's also mezuzah.
Yes.
But what's that for? That's for protection? What's the purpose of the mezuzah?
Keep it shaven out.
What?
Keep the what?
Shaven.
Devils.
What?
It's not funny. It's serious stuff. That's why the main reason why we have mezuzahs on the doors.
You heard the
To
story.
remind us, right?
You heard the story about the.
That God is protecting us. It's a friendly reminder.
Tell
What?
him again, quick.
A Jewish man was having a house built,
Right.
and he had they gave him to his contractor. He told the contractor how to install each one on each door.
What, the mezuzah?
Yeah. So the contractor hung up all the mezuzahs. The guy looked. He said, "Oh, they look great." He said, "Oh, by the way, I threw out all those little instruction sheets where it's on."
Yeah, the instruction sheet's inside. Aye, aye. All right, so, yeah. Okay. So the word pasachti means Passover, right? But Rashi says there's another explanation. Look at the next Rashi, pasachti. You see on the right column?
Yeah, for something.
V'chamalti. V'chamalti means,
With the memo.
what does chamalti mean?
Milchama.
V'chamalti means compassion, rachmonis. Pasachti v'chamalti. So the word Pesach means Passover. It also means God had rachmonis on us. Okay?
Because Moshe Rabbeinu.
He had rachmonis that even though our firstborn were also guilty of what? Avodah Zarah, he passed over the firstborn and he spared us. So the word Pesach means Passover. It also means mercy over. So they should advertise in the hotels special deal for mercy over. Passover, mercy over, right? Right? Okay. Interesting, yeah. What's a matzot? Pasachti, okay? Yeah. Okay.
So See a lot of Israelis are now in yeshiva, huh?
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, interesting, go back to page 195. Pasuk Yud Aleph. The first Pesach had to be eaten in haste, Mordechai, in haste. I hope they had Tums. No, Tums are kosher Pesach, I don't know. Yud Aleph, v'kacha toichli also. Mosnechem chagurim, your loins girded up. Buckle up for safety. Na'alechem baraglechem, your shoes on your feet. U'maklechem biyadchem, and your walking stick in your hands. U'achaltem oiseh b'chipazon. Eat it quickly. Pesachu larinoi. It is a Passover for God. Okay? Why it have to be eaten quickly? They didn't leave until the next day at high noon, Moshe. Why it have to be eaten quickly?
For the matzahs in time for the
What?
weatherize.
But they didn't leave until the next day at high noon.
Tumah, you said yesterday.
We said it was what?
The Tumah, they were on the last.
That's right. So the matzah is like the cure, Moshe. And if they wouldn't take the cure quickly, they'd be beyond the limit. They'd sink it to nun shari tuma. Somehow the matzah was the antidote, Gabriel, for the memtesh shari tuma. So they had to be eaten quickly, that the poison shouldn't what?
Ruin the veins.
Shouldn't do away with them permanently. So eat the antidote quickly, and this will prevent you from sinking into what? The nun shari tuma. Because once they hit that, there's no turning back. Spiritual quicksand. So you have to take the antibiotics quickly.
Right.
Spiritual antibiotics, Moshe, which is the carbon pesach, right?
Isn't that why we burn the chometz the time before 11 o'clock? The day of the Seder that night.
Well, that we burn the chametz before
Chazot, certain time.
before chatzos. That's
12
erev
o'clock.
Pesach, right?
Right. So does that have to be a relation between that?
There is very good. There is a relation. There's a relation. The carbon pesach had to be shechted erev Pesach at high noon.
Right.
The Torah says when you shecht the carbon pesach, which is erev Pesach high noon, you're not allowed to have no chametz in the house anymore.
Right.
Because chametz is the symbol of what?
Haughty.
Haughtiness, arrogance, the tumah, and the carbon
Flashiness.
pesach is the antidote. Beautiful, Mordechai, to come more often. So therefore, the poison has to be removed at the time when you shech the carbon pesach, which is erev Pesach by high noon. So you have to get rid of the chametz before that. Very good, very good.
Can we have another Chumash?
Sure. Which page? 190. What page am I? 195, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Halpin over here. Now,
Page
page 195. You with me or against me? Oh.
No, one good olive.
Pesach Hulash, we are Rashi Yud Aleph. Mosnechem Chagurim. Now this is only true in Cairo, Gershom. Once you're in Pisgat Zev, you can eat very leisurely, you can kick off your shoes and lay back. But in Cairo, they had to be girded up. Look at Rashi Yud Aleph on the left column. Mosnechem Chagurim. Buckled up for safety. Mizmonim Laderech. Now even though you're not leaving until the next day. Mizmonim Laderech, right? Loshen bahala mihirut, quickly, English word hurry, maher, hurry, get it? And then Rashi brings. Now look at the next Rashi, Pesachul Hashem. It is a Hakarban hu karu Pesach. The festival is not called Pesach. Gabriel, the festival is called Chag HaMatzot. What is called Pesach? Hakarban karu Pesach. Al Shem Hadilug V'Hapsicha. Because God passed over and He jumped over when He smote the firstborn mitzvah, even though our firstborn were also guilty of Avodah Zarah, He mercifully passed over and skipped over, and therefore the korban eaten that night is called Passover. HaChodesh Baruch Hu Medaleg. God skipped Bate Yisrael, Miben Bate Mitzrayim. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. He jumped between what? The Jewish homes and the Mitzri homes. The kofetz. What does kofetz mean?
Hopped like a frog.
Hopped. Incredible.
Hopped it.
Mi Mitzri le Mitzri Yisrael emtzi nimlad. Right? God Kavayochel jumped between Mitzri and a Jew in the middle. He was saved. Okay. So, that means when hotels advertise Passover, they're making a mistake because the holiday is never called Passover. The holiday is called Chag HaMatzot. So now we get to a $64 question. The Torah never calls the Chag Pesach. What does the Torah call the Chag? Chag HaMatzot, right? The Torah calls it Chag HaMatzot. Chag HaMatzot. What does the Torah call a Pesach? Dafke the Korban. Just the Korban is called Pesach, right? Because, right? And the Torah calls it again Pesach on page 198, Pasuk Chav Zayin. V'amartem zevach Pesach hu Lashem. You shall say this is a zevach. What does zevach mean? A slaughtering, Pesach for Hashem, Asher Pasach Abot Bnei Yisrael, when God passed over the Jewish homes in Mitzrayim, but not Kvesh Mitzrayim, it's pertaining Hitzil. In our homes He saved, Yikodam V'shtachavu, and the people bowed and prayed. So again, the Torah only calls the lamb chop Pesach. The holiday is never called Pesach. The holiday is called what? Chag HaMatzot. Right? So now we get to the fifth kasha. You can't ask the same kashas all year. Every year. Ma nishtana Pesach from all the other chagim. Mordechai.
What's the difference?
The difference is, all the other chagim, we and the Torah on the same page. How does the Torah call Sukkot? Sukkot. Torah calls Shavuot? Shavuot. Right? Torah calls Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur. All the chagim, we and the Torah are what on the same page? Ma nishtana Pesach mikol hachagim, where we and the Torah do not call the Yom Tov by the same name. The Torah only refers to the Chag as Chag HaMatzot.
And who called it Pesach?
And the hotels, no? What do you mean for Pesach?
Who?
Special for Pesach.
No, who gave that name?
2 for 1.
What
He
that name?
started to be Pesach.
You hear my question, Ephraim?
I'm checking out
Ma
the
nishtana?
Who gave that
Why
name?
did the Jewish people call the Chag Pesach?
He's getting there.
Why? That's what he
Well,
asked.
He's getting
And the
there.
Torah calls it Chag HaMatzos. The Torah only calls Pesach the korban. It's amazing. The korban Pesach was shechted the day before Pesach. I mean, before Chag HaMatzot. Amazing. Mixed up here, right? When was the korban Pesach shechted, Gershon? When?
Day before.
A day before.
Right.
So why do we apply the name Pesach to the Chag, which has nothing to do with Pesach? Because the Shepzala was shechted the day before Pesach, and we call the whole Yontiv Pesach, and the Torah calls it Chag HaMatzot. Why are we on the Torah and not on the same page? Okay? That's the fifth kasha. So Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Barditchev answers this question with a statement in Shir Hashirim. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. What does that mean? Ani ledodi v'dodi
What I had at
li.
my wedding.
Oh. I am always praising my lover, and my lover is always praising me. The Torah calls the Yontiv Chag HaMatzot. Why does the Torah call the Yontiv Chag HaMatzot? Why? The Torah always calls it Chag HaMatzot. Why?
Chag HaMatzot? I thought you
The
said
Torah only calls the Chag HaMatzot because the Torah is praising the Yidden. Remember, God tells Yirmiyahu, "Zacharti lo chesed no'arayich ahavas kilasoyech lechtech achra midbav eretz lo zerua." We had no provisions. We had nothing. All we had was a shtik ala matzah. Where are you taking me? We didn't ask God. There's no Motel 6. There's no Howard Johnson's in the middle of the Midbar Sinai. We didn't question him. The matzah is a symbol of our, what's the word, undying love to Hashem. All we had was a shtik ala matzah.
The clouds of
And we didn't
glory.
question him. We didn't know we were going to have no clouds of glory. We didn't know we were going to have mun. We followed him in the desert, trusting and loving him. So God calls the Yontif Chag HaMatzot, Ani Ladodi. He's praising us. That we had no provisions, and yet we trusted him implacably. What's the word? Implicitly. So the Torah is praising us, and therefore the Torah calls the Yontif what? Ani Ladodi. We call the Yontif Pesach because even though we were also worshiping Avodah Zarah, God lovingly passed over our homes. Passover. So Ani Ladodi V'Dodi Li. Each lover is playing up and complimenting the other one, and therefore we and the Torah do not call the Yontif by the same name. God is praising us, Chag HaMatzot, and we are praising him when we call the Yontif Pesach, because God lovingly passed over our firstborn, even though our firstborn were also guilty of what? Which is worse. If a Jew does it, it's worse. And yet God passed over, so therefore, Ani Ladodi V'Dodi Li. Okay?
So why don't we call it Chag HaLulav?
Why? Now Rashi, what I just tell you, look at Rashi.
That's not the emphasis.
Page 199, Gershom. You see that? Page 199, Pasuk Lamed Tes. Vayofu et abatzek. See? 199 Lamed Tes in the text. They baked the dough. I should see him. It's like Ugot Matzot. Ugot Matzot. Ki loy chometz. Ki gorshim Mitzrayim. They were driven out of Egypt. They were not able to procrastinate. They had no time to make Wonder Bread. The Gam Seidah, they didn't prepare any, what is that Seidah? Victuals. Provisions. So look at Rashi, look at the bottom Rashi, the very bottom. The Gam Seidah Le'osulahem. Why is the Torah telling me that we didn't take along any what? K-rations? See the bottom Rashi? The Torah comes to praise Israel. Shlo Yomru. They didn't say, Heich Neitzel Amidbar Belot Seidah. Where are you taking us? There's no 7-Eleven stores out there. Remember 7-Eleven? Yeah. And no, where are you taking us? El Heiminu V'Holchu. Heiminu V'Holchu. They what? You gotta believe. And we followed. We said, sweetheart, we'll follow you anywhere. And God never forgot that. It's a pasuk in Yirmiyahu. What's the pasuk, Gershom? You see the saying that? What? Zacharti lo chesed norayach. God says, I remember. Powerful words here. God is speaking to Yirmiyahu. I remember for you chesed norayach. The loving kindness of your youth. The loving kindness that we showed to whom? It's incredible. I'm afraid to say the words, Rabbi Yaakov Meir. Well, that's what God tells Yirmiyahu. Zacharti loch, I remember for you, Yidden, chesed nurayich, the loving kindness when you were young, that you showed kaviyachol to God. Ahavas kilasoyich, the love of your bridal days, when you were my younger kala. What kind of chesed did we do? Lechtech achrei bamidbar. Lechtech acharei bamidbar be'eretz lo yizerua. You followed me in the desert, be'eretz lo yizerua, in a land that was like a moonscape. And you didn't say, where are you taking me? What are we going to eat? Moonstruck. God said, I'll never forget that loving kindness you displayed to me, God. I'll never forget that. Wow. Therefore, God calls the Yontif what? Therefore, God calls the Yontif what? Beautiful. Ani Ladodi. Oh, and we call it Pesach V'Dodi Li. Where I came today. Now.
Didn't they have each...
What?
Didn't they have a lot of, not horses, chamorim, malimim...
Malay with Kesef Azov, but not Eichel.
And the Hamas?
The Hamas.
They have animals.
Yeah.
They didn't have animals?
They had animals.
They didn't know they
Beasts of burden they had. Beasts of burden. Can you live on flesh? You got to have a...
You have to have a Slurpee.
They did not know that they would stay there.
They had no water.
40 years.
They had no... Where you going? There's no 7-Eleven stores. Milano, you have 7-Eleven.
Yeah, there's no Slurpees.
No Slurpees. I mean, and no water. What?
Asher Sprecher,
What?
I think you taught this.
Yeah.
Is that certain animals were considered very deities for the pharaohs.
That's right. They worship.
That's why they went and checked the lamb
That's right.
personally.
The Rambam says that. Why
Right.
didn't we offer a turkey?
Well, the turkeys weren't there. They didn't
Oh,
there.
the Rambam says the way you
Maybe, I mean,
broke it, you
because-
fix it.
because
Since we
Columbus-
worship the
Columbus
zodiac
didn't-
lamb,
Right.
so that the object of our sin now becomes what? The tikkun.
Right.
The tikkun comes from the chet itself, right? I ain't ketega nasas and eger. Don't mix me up. God, we spoke about yesterday. God makes the rules. When do you say ain't ketega nasas and eger? And when do you say tikkun comes from the chet? Another of you thought that they knew. You see, that's he decides when you say what.
What do you say about
Ephraim, ain't ketega nasas and eger. Last week's parsha, Shmini kach lecha egel. God says, Aaron, take an egel to inaugurate the Mishkan. Says Rashi, why an egel? Because you sinned with the egel hazov. Now take an egel and make a kapara.
Isn't that funny?
1 minute.
Sorry.
But it comes to Paraduma, God says, Aaron, you can't do it. Because the Paraduma is a kapara for the egel. Tovai parat chaper al bena. Since Aaron, you made the egel, so you cannot be ein ketega nasa seneger. So Aaron could have said, God, you're mixing me up. You're telling me to bring an egel to mechaper for my egel, and now you're telling me that I can't bring the paraduma because ein ketega nasa seneger. So what's the answer?
He makes the rule.
That's beautiful.
You fight fire.
You see, Nadav Avihu thought that they can apply their logic to God's logic. That's Eish Zara Ashelot Siva. Aaron HaKohen said, no, God, you make the rules. Ein ketega nasas and eger. Let the kapara be from the chet. They seem to clash, but that's the paraduma, the paradox. Because God tells the prophet Yeshayahu, my ways are not your ways, and my thoughts are not your thoughts.
What none of them you-
Other than they did Eish Zara. Why is it called Eish Zara? Why is it Eish Zara? Because you think you can figure out God's logic.
What did they bring?
Whatever they did, they thought that they could apply their logic to God's logic. That's Eish Zara Ashelot. Why is it Eish Zara Ashelot Siva?
But what kind of behemoth did they bring?
Whatever they brought, they brought incense, they changed the service.
Oh, they changed.
That's what Eliyahu and David did when we proved the moon would do
When?
the sacrifices.
That's the paraduma, the paradox. God makes the rules, Reb Gershon. When do we say Ein Ketega Nasas and Eger? And when do we say that the tikkun comes from what? The chet itself. They seem to contradict. Too bad. He decides when you apply the
And
rules.
they didn't even ask. They didn't
That's
even
right.
ask. If they would ask Moshe
Right.
Rabbeinu, they would have got proper
Right.
instructions. They didn't even
Again,
ask.
the Kohen had to take on Yom Kippur. The Kohen, when he went to the Holy of Holies, he had to take off his big dezov. The Gemara in Rosh Hashanah says why, and Yuma, because Yom Kippur is all about forgiveness, and all the granddaddy of all sin is what? The Egel. It's the granddaddy of all sin. So on Yom Kippur he goes into the Kodesh HaKadoshim.
Right.
He takes off his golden vest because Ein Ketege Nasas and Egel. What's waiting for him side in the Holy of Holies? Golden figures. You tell me Ein Ketege Nasas and Egel that he has to take off his what? His big days off because the prosecutor can't be what? Perry Mason. But what's waiting for him inside the Holy of Holies? Golden figures. But you said, hey, Ein Ketege Nasas and Egel. God makes the rules, don't you see?
It shows hobbiness for the
We have to bend our logic to his logic. And none of you were not willing to do that. That was a fatal mistake. When you think you can figure out God's logic, that's a fatal mistake. That's Eish Zara Ashelot Siva. Oh. You hear what I'm talking about?
They use the ox as the main.
When do you say Enketega Nasas and Eger? And when do you say that Yovai Zov Shebe Mishkan, the Chapar Zov Shebe Egel, God needs a golden Mishkan? No, the Jews sinned with a golden calf, So God says, take gold and do it my way. Da 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 da. I ain't taking asas and eger. God says, I decide when you say ain't taking asas and eger, and I decide when you say zov shebe mishkan is a kapara for what? For what? The zov of the egel. Okay? Seems to be a paradox. Life is a paradox. We have to accept it. Another of you were not willing to, and it was a fatal error. Now, Zacharti lo chesed narayach. So he said, based on this Rashi on page 199, Zacharti lo chesed narayach. Therefore, God calls the Yom Tov Chag HaMatzot. Rabbi Yaakov Meir Chag HaMatzot. God is focusing on what? On the loving kindness that we displayed to Him. Frightening words, right? Lovey-dovey. The matzah, Chag HaMatzot. Wait a minute. Lovey-dovey, right? What about the Chet Egel? What about the Meraglim? What about the Korach rebellion? What about the complainers? And this is no good and that's no good. And all God focuses, Charti lo chesed norayich? Lech teich acharei bamidbar be'eretz lo yizerua. What about all the complaints and all of the chatoyim? A rocky road. And all God focuses on the good times.
On the first step.
What's the message?
On the first step.
Why do you break a glass under the chuppah?
You will have broken glass in the family in there.
On the chuppah, you're madly in love with each other. Right? You have to know it's not going to be like that forever. There will be broken glass. There'll be arguments. It has to be. But when two people love each other, what do they focus on? Accent the positive.
Making up.
And you don't focus on the negative.
But
You hear?
doesn't argue
So of
with
course
each
we
other.
argued with God and we had many sins. But since God loves us unconditionally, what does He focus on? The chesed norayich. Lech teich achra midbar. Eretz Yisrael. Couples have to fight. It's only nature. You ever read the book? Men are from Venus and women are from Mars?
No.
No,
Women are from Venus, men are from Mars.
Thank you. It's natural. There has to be broken glass. Therefore, you break a cup under the chuppah. But, what's God telling us over here? When you love each other, you focus on the positive. Yes?
Then we don't have to accept what God gives us.
What do
We
you
can
mean?
argue with Him.
What?
We don't have to accept what He
We say, of course we have to accept it, but
No, we don't have to accept. We can daven and change. En mazal ki Yisrael.
But I'm saying we do chatoyim, and yet God focuses chesed norayich. What about the chet egel? What about the meraglim and the korach, etc.? And all God can tell here, meyo chesed norayich. God is teaching us that when you're madly in love with each other, you what? You accept the negative and you focus on the positive. Powerful message, right? Interesting, right?
Even the Knesset needs to take a course on 101.
What?
What you just said.
Right? Yeah. Ugod matzot. Now, how do we know matzah's round? Matzah, man. Now, look at Pasuk Lamed Tes. Matzah's around. It says ugot matzot. You see page 199? This is the Haftorah. We're going to read Shabbos. Right?
99.
Page 199, Lamed Tes, ugot matzot. You see it says ugot from the word agol. See? That's why matzahs should be what?
Wait a minute.
Round.
Where's it? Where?
Page 199, Pasuk Lamed Tet.
Under Lamed
Payofu et abotzik. Asher otzim inside ugot matzot. You see that? They baked it into uga from the word agol.
Uga.
Uga.
Uga
It's
means
similar
cake,
to the
right?
word uka means cake, but it's similar to the word agol. The Zohar says, why is matzah round?
The planets are also round.
Not according to
Matzah, says the Zohar, is the wedding band that God gave us. Ooh.
Manischewitz doesn't say that.
Oh, the matzah is round because it's a symbol of my endless love.
That's why the
Ooh,
Yemeni matzah.
my endless love. Don't you get it? The matzah is the wedding band that God gave the Jewish people. says the Zohar HaKadosh. Because the Erusin was in Mitzrayim at the Exodus. 7 weeks later was Kof Aleim Har Kegigis. That was the chuppah. Don't you get it? In Jewish law, there are 2 steps to a marriage. There's the erusin, when you give the round ring, when God gave us the matzah, that's a symbol of my endless love. The circle has no beginning and no end. And 7 weeks later, when he held the mountain over our heads, that was the chuppah. Don't you see? Erusin and the chuppah. There's another word for chuppah, nesuin. There are 2 steps to a marriage. Oh, so in Mitzrayim there was the erusin. 7 weeks later there was what? The chuppah. What was the ketubah?
Torah.
The Torah. That's the ketubah.
The ring ketubah was.
The ketubah was the 10 Commandments, right? The 10 Commandments was the ketubah. What?
The egel, the broken glass.
The egel. Can you imagine? We committed adultery on the honeymoon. Can you imagine? And God still accepted us. Can you imagine that? The broken glass. What? The egel. Very good what you said. Can you imagine? To commit adultery on the honeymoon?
But the woman
And it wasn't even the honeymoon yet. Can you imagine?
The women
Wow.
were not involved.
The women weren't involved, but
Oh, you mean Ke'ilu?
the woman didn't sin with the egel. But
It's Ke'ilu.
God, Kavayachal, is the Chatan, right? And we are the Knesset Yisrael. We are what? We are the Kala, right?
Why didn't the women
The women
stop
didn't
us?
sin. You're right. The
Why
women.
did they
Why
try to
didn't they stop us?
Well, they killed Chor.
Well, they lynched Chor, didn't they?
That's true.
They lynched
They
Chor.
made the effort.
So the
Right.
woman figured, let's
Right?
just
It's true.
let sleeping dogs lie.
They lynched Chor.
They lynched
Chor tried to stop them, and he was what? Lynched. Shouldn't such an episode be written in the Torah? It's a $64 question of Yaakov Meir. My Rebbe asked, wait a minute, such an episode, Hur was such a hero. He risked his life to stop the mob from building the Egel. He paid for with his life. Such an important episode is nowhere in the written Torah. Madua Valama. You hear my question? So my Rebbe said as followed. He was wrong.
Who was wrong?
Hur was wrong. Because the greatest mitzvah in the Torah is staying alive, staying alive. Only 3 sins you have to die for.
Yeah.
If another Jew wants to worship Avodah Zarah, I can try to stop him, but I'm not supposed to give my life for that. If I worship Avodah Zarah, then I have to pay the ultimate price. But to stop another Yid from worshiping Avodah Zarah, I'm not allowed to give my life. That's not one of the big 3 is Yohareg Vayavar if you worship Avodah Zarah. But to stop another Yid from worshiping Avodah Zarah, are you allowed to give your life?
No.
No. Therefore, the episode is not what?
We didn't in the Torah.
Why? He knew he would be lynched? Maybe
What?
He knew he would be lynched?
I guess they warned him. Lay off, buddy.
But I respect
Lay off. We'll make you a head shorter.
Wasn't it Torah-
Right?
was
He
it
should
Torah?
have warned them and walk away.
But was the Torah
It's not
given
your
yet?
life. The greatest mitzvah of the Torah is v'chai bohem. Staying alive, staying
But respect,
alive.
was the Torah given yet?
That's the greatest mitzvah of the Torah. That's right.
Was it? Was it?
That's the greatest
given
mitzvah of the
yet?
Torah. Ah.
Right.
I've
What?
always heard seven minutes when they
Wait a second, but wait
What?
a second though. They weren't really Jews yet, were they? When he actually did
But
the
it's 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noah. They had to keep
Avodah
it.
Zarah is
Right,
one to keep the
right.
7 go to
But he
heaven.
said, but it's
Keep
sick
the
for
7
another
go
Jew.
to heaven.
You don't have to be Jewish.
Right?
Avodah
It's one of
Zarah
7
is-
Noahide
all
laws
the
that,
world.
right? Avodah
it's
Zarah.
a Noah, no.
Right?
But
What's the secret of staying alive?
Doing mitzvahs.
Attach yourself to Eitz HaChaim. Eitz Chaim
Eitz
hi lemachazikim ba.
Or a dad?
Eitz HaChaim.
What is it?
Life.
The life.
but this doesn't
The
answer
Torah
the
gives
question,
us
like
life.
Torah.
And Eitz Hadat?
It doesn't answer.
Eitz Hadat. What about the Eitz
Jewish
Hadat?
chesed, tzedakah, and mitzvahs. That's what you go.
Eitz Hadat Tovara. We decide whether knowledge is what?
Howard?
Tovara. We decide how to use the internet.
You hang on.
RabbiSprecher.com or Chas v'Sholem. You decide. Eitz Hadat Tovara. How do we how do we use
That's what
knowledge?
Rabbi
We
was so
decide
keen on doing
Tovara.
mitzvahs, Rabbi
Uh-huh.
Shlomo. You know that, right?
Right? It's up to us to use the dot Tov Chas v'Sholem Ra. That's our choice. What?
Torah Chaim.
Yeah, Eitz HaChaim, Eitz Chaim.
Torah Chaim. You have to make the Torah
This is
alive.
Right.
not the reason
You have to
why
make
it's
the Torah
not
alive.
said. It's not
Right.
It's a tree.
This is not the reason why they don't say it. Why they don't say it.
No, you don't like that reason. So tell me why. Why is Chur, the great hero, not in the Torah? Why is the episode blanked out in the written Torah? Why?
For the same
Because
reason.
not to do what he did. Don't
the
throw
same-
your life away. It's not your life to
Basically,
throw
you're trying
away.
to say it wasn't
But
a good
why-
example.
You shouldn't
Don't say
emulate
it.
him.
That's why he's not written in Torah.
Because
what?
Torah doesn't make Lashon Hara. It's the same reason why.
Torah doesn't make Lashon Hara?
The father-
Why does it badmouth Koirach and
The
Dosam
father-
v'Aviram? The Torah doesn't speak Lashon Hara, right?
And the father-
It says Koirach was a lowlife, Dosam v'Aviram was a lowlife. I can't speak Lashon Hara.
and the father.
What?
And the father of Slavchat,
Yeah.
that he broke on Shabbos.
Oh, he gathered the wood. Yeah.
If it would say in the Chumash, we would think he's a hero and we should emulate him.
That's right.
If it would say that story in the Chumash, we would think, well, that's
If
what we
there's
have
a
to do.
toyelet, it's not Lashon Hara. Right? If there's a toyelet, it's not Lashon Hara. Right, Gabriel? The Chafetz Chaim, who wrote the book on Lashon Hara, said, Oilam afuch re'iti. You hear? It's an upside down world. What the book on Chafetz Chaim? He said, people speak Lashon Hara all the time, right? But when you have when you have to speak Lashon Hara, all of a sudden you become frum. Chafetz Chaim said this already. It's a phenomenon. Olam hafuch. You ever drink a cafe hafuch? You know that a guy is a no-life bum and he has AIDS. You know, and he's going to marry this girl, right? And you're the doctor. You know he has VD and AIDS. So, and you come and ask him, is he healthy? Oh, I can't speak Lashon Hara. You're the doctor. You know he has VD and AIDS. So when you have to talk, then they become frum. Then it's not Lashon Hara, it's a toyelet. Right? It's an upside down world. When you have to speak, you don't speak. And when you're not allowed to speak, you speak. That's the Yetzer Hara. If there's a toyelet, it's not Lashon Hara. How do I know that? Chafetz Chaim says, how do I know that? Let's go to the video text.
Why do we speak?
1 minute. Let's go to the
Oh,
text.
we're going to the text?
We're going to the text. Let's go to the
Why
text.
do we have to go to the text?
We have to go to the video text. Let's go. Let's go to the text here. Right now.
Meaning is, put some kedusha.
Mm.
What's kedusha?
Mois.
Knowledge? You can get a funny man here. Holiness?
Kedoshim.
Funny in this set.
Look at page 3. This class you have to have nimble fingers. Page 374, Pasuk Tezayin.
Is there an English book?
No, this is a Hebrew class.
Oh, because I'm in Israel?
Oh, Mordechai, can you show him a book? He has a book?
Since you want to open it.
I don't read Hebrew. That's
3,
why.
I'll
It just-
translate for you.
We're looking at
374, Pasuk Tezayin. Loitelech rochel beyamecha. Don't be a talebearer. Don't speak Lashon Hara against your people. Against the Balkari is not a problem, right? John Balkari. It's only against your people you can't speak Lashon Hara. Loitamoit adam rayecha. Do not stand by the blood of your friend, Ani Hashem. So what does, we know when there's one pasuk with two subjects of Yaakov, there have to be what?
Connection.
What does speaking Lashon Hara got to do with don't stand by the blood of your friend? Why they're in the same pasuk? So the simple explanation is that when you speak Lashon Hara, it's like you're spilling your friend's blood. There used to be a song, killing me softly with his words, killing me softly with words. It's called character assassination. When you speak Lashon Hara, it's like you're spilling someone's blood. But the Chafetz Chaim, no less, says there's another interpretation. Lo yitelech rochel beyamecha, lo yitamat adam rayecha. If you know that this guy who's marrying the girl has VD, or he's a kleptomaniac or whatever, you know, right? And they come to ask you, what kind of guy is he? You're the doctor. Is he healthy? I can't say he has VD. It's Lashon Hara. No! Lo yisal adam rayecha, says the Chafetz Chaim HaKadosh. If you're not going to say nothing, you let him marry the girl, you know that he has VD and AIDS, you're spilling this girl's blood. Then you have to talk. Don't you see? But he says, Olam hafuch re'iti. It's an upside down world. When you're not allowed to talk, they talk. Wow. Chofetz Chaim HaChodesh. Right? Don't stand by the blood of your friend. Because then it's not Lashon Hara. Not to let an innocent Jew fall in. Alright? You know that the guy, you want to go into business with somebody, and you were in business with him and he swindled you.
Right.
A ganef for no good. And you ask advice. Should I go into business with this guy? You were in business with him. I can't speak Lashon Hara. That's Lashon Hara. Lo samad adam rayecha. Chofetz Chaim wrote the book on what?
Lashon Hara.
Or a guy, a guy is a rebbe, is a child abuser. He abuses kids. There's a lot's going on over here, and you know that he abused your kid. Lo yaleinu. You can't go. You can't go to the police because of Lashon Hara.
No, you have to protect.
Rav Allenberg said that guys that didn't like a rodef. You hear? That's not Lashon Hara. To protect Loisama Damayacha. Then you have to speak. Then it's not Lashon Hara. But people become frum at the wrong time. You ever drink a cafe hafuch?
No. I'll need another example.
Oilam hafuch.
You know what cafe food is?
Cappuccino.
I don't drink caffeine.
Okay.
I'm a natural.
No, it's all right. Okay, but we're back to our parsha, no Gershom. We're back to Parashat HaChodesh.
Pineapple love shut down cake.
We're back to our parsha. Parashat HaChodesh. We're back in Parashat HaChodesh,
So
right?
if we don't do Lashon Hara, then we have less to spill over of negativity, and we can talk about more positive, more important things in life.
Character assassination, but you have to know when it's character assassination, and you have to know when you're saving someone's blood. You have to ask a shaila. Can't act on your own. Getting back to the parsha, right, Gershom? Getting back to the parsha, the HaChodesh Elechem. Let's go back here. Shmurim. An amazing Rashi here. All the Rashis are so amazing. Take a look at page 198. You with me? 198, Pasuk Chavav. Yagoda quotes this pasuk, right, Gershom? 198 Chavav. You want to read it? What is this ritual to you? You old fuddy-duddy. Get with it, man. What are you still in the dark ages? Huh? This is the Russia talking, right? So how does the Torah answer him? Not like the way the Balagoda answers him, Gershom. Hey, the Balagoda doesn't answer him the way the Torah does. The Torah says, "Amartem zevach pesach ul Hashem, asher pasach abote b'nei Yisrael, b'tzayim v'nokrat v'tzayim." You're supposed to answer him with what? With kindness and love, not like the Balagoda says, knock out his teeth. The Torah doesn't say that. How come the Balagoda doesn't follow the Torah? Good question. That's a bomba kasha from Bomland. How come the Balagoda doesn't follow the Torah's lead? Gershon, this is from Bomland kasha. The Balagoda says knock out his teeth, right? Torah doesn't say that. Explain to him. Pesachul Hashem, Apostle Habote B'nai Yisrael. God passed over. And he saved us, and the people, it says, the people bowed and they thanked God. For what did they bow and thank God, Gershom? Look at this incredible Rashi. You with me on this, Gershom?
Yeah.
Rashi Chav Zayin. The people bowed and thanked God. Chav Zayin, right column. Al Basurat Hagu'ula. They bowed and praised God for the what? Usurat Hagula, that they heard the good tidings are going to be redeemed. Ubiyat Aretz, and they're coming to Pisgat Zev. Usurat Habonim, and God said they're going to have children. What kind of children are they going to have? Rabbi Yaakov Meir. Pasuk Chavav. Who is talking Pasuk Chavav? What kind of children in Pasuk Chavav, Rabbi Yaakov?
Rasha.
The Rasha. Afal Pikain, they still thank God for even a child that's a Rasha. It's mind-boggling. Hello. Rashi's very, very profound. Pasuk Chavav, God said you're going to have children, right, Rabbi Yaakov? What kind of children? Rishayim, that's what it says. Mo'avayda zois lachem. Afal Pikain, Rashi says they thank God that they're going to have children. But God said you're going to have wicked children. What kind of reason is that to thank God? What's the message?
We need all of them.
There's an amazing Rashi at the end of Parshas Bo.
More powerful than adults, isn't it, Rabbi Sprecher?
You know why there are 4 sections in the Tefillin? Says Rashi, Keneged what?
For Arba Banim, yeah.
Rashi says that even the Rasha
We need him.
is represented by what?
One box in the tefillin.
It's incredible. That's what Rashi says. Help!
Lulav.
Well, look around. Another. It's not Sukkot now. We're talking about Lulav Sukkot. Now we're talking about Pesach. Here, Gershom, what's going on over here? Rashi says here, they heard they're going to have wicked children. Afal Pikain, they praise God. And Rashi continues with this incredible. Rashi says at the end of the Parsha, when the mitzvah is about tefillin, on page 202, the last pasuk in the Torah, you see page 202, Tezayin, shall be for a sign on your hand, and an ornament between your eyes. The reason we wear tefillin is ki b'chayzek yad. When you put on tefillin in the morning, what are you supposed to think about? The Exodus. It says, when you put on tefillin on your hand and on your head, to remind us, ki b'chayzek yad, with a powerful hand did God take us out of what? Egypt. Right? So Rashi says in Pasuk Tezayin, the Rashi Yudalid. Rashi says, Keneged arba bonim divrei Torah. Look at Rashi Yudalid. Yudalid. Divrei Torah Keneged arba bonim. Right? And then the Rashi Tezayin says that the 4 sections of the Tefillin correspond and represent what?
The 4
the 4 sons.
Banim, yeah.
But wait a minute. Why should a Rasha get a section of the Tefillin? And why thank God for Rasha's son? Because today's Rasha will be tomorrow's Chacham. Who said he has to stay a Rasha?
Some benefit of the doubt.
Now he's a Rasha. Next year he could be a Chacham. Never give up on no Jew. Never. Now he's a Rasha. Tomorrow he could be a big tzaddik. B'mocham shebala tshuva omed, tzaddik gomal yochal lamod. Oh. You do tshuva me'ahava, all of your averot become what? Wow, mind-boggling. What's the guy's name there? Next. Brad. You can turn an avera into a mitzvah. Mind-boggling. Today's Rasha can be tomorrow's what?
That's Tzaddik.
Tzaddik plus. So therefore you thank God even for what?
For the wicked children.
And even he gets a parsha in the Tefillin. Did you know that? Why are 4 sections in the Tefillin? Keneged arba banim, right? And the Gemara increases page 6, Kritut page 6, that the Ketoret, the highest service in the base of English was the Ketoret, the most exalted. 11 herbs and spices. They all smell delicious except the chelbana.
Which is weed.
Which Rav Aryeh Kaplan says was marijuana. Kahanim are always mellow. Mellow yellow.
Straight.
It smells terrible. You ever smell marijuana? Ooh.
Boy, look at the
No, it
ingredients
smells
and look at
terrible.
the properties.
So why is that in the mix?
National power
So
for it
the
is.
Chelbana represents the Pasha Yisrael. Even he has to be in the mix. Otherwise,
It's missing.
it's puzzled. The entire service is invalid. Wow.
The kings of Israel.
We need every Jew. Can't give up on no Jew. Can a father give up on any child?
But does he count it?
God cannot afford to give up on any Jew.
If he's the
A
11th one,
A
maybe
parent
he
can't
counts
give
it.
up on
have to
any
have a
child.
Rasha
Don't you see?
Yeah, I've heard that. Is that
What?
right? You have to have at least one Rasha in the minion.
Does it mean that?
What if you don't? Then there's no minion.
Right?
Well, you should try your best.
Greek to
If there's a
page
bum walking down the
6.
street, you know he's Jewish.
Yeah?
Grab him by the neck and bring him in.
Right? You have to bring in because you have to reach out and touch.
Yeah.
You can't be miyayish from any yid. Powerful message there. God tells the prophet Yeshayahu, Shalom, Shalom, la rachok v'la korov. Who does God mention first? Amazing. Shalom, la rachok v'la korov.
The one
God
who's far
reaches
away.
out to the guy who's far away.
Yeah. They need a doctor.
They need that.
The doctor.
The kirov, right? Again, today's Russia, Moshe, is tomorrow's Chacham. Powerful message. And this is the Maftir reading for this Shabbos. You know that.
Well, why is
Parashat
it?
HaChodesh. Because we read before Nisan. It's time to renew yourself, rejuvenate, like nature, renew yourself, right?
Rosh Chodesh is
When is
next,
Monday night. Next
right,
Monday night is
right.
Rosh Chodesh.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
right. It's one day of Rosh Chodesh, right?
One day.
You come back anyway to teach?
Yeah, I'll be here, Mitzvah Hashem. Yes, I'll be
They
here.
got Pesach at the beginning.
You learn, the Ben Ish Chai says, when you learn Bein Hazmanim, what's your name? Akiva. When you learn Bein Hazmanim, says the Ben Ish Chai, you mekabel schar keneged kulam.
You'll be here the whole month? Or, well,
Up until,
Pesach.
not Pesach, but before. You're getting a bargain. When you're learning Bein Hazmanim, you're getting schar for all the guys on vacation. Yiddish zukman avilda metzia. Avilda metzia. Brad, you know what avilda metzia means? When you learn Bein Hazmanim, the Ben Ish Chai says avilda metzia, you're getting their schar, the guys that are on vacation. No, avilda metzia, we said. Ah. Okay, back in the,
Oh, Rosh Chodesh.
Yes, sir.
Someone said about the Vilna Gaon.
the Vilna Gaon, go ahead.
To him that on Pesach was reading that it's mitzvah that you should eat matzah the whole week.
Okay.
To kill the matzah.
So
Yeah, why
now,
does it say a whole week? And,
Now,
and he said the chiyuv was only the first night.
now
So
one
why does the
second.
Chumash say a whole week?
Excellent. I'm glad you guys brought it up. Okay, take a look. Look at the maftir we're going to read. See? It says on page 196, Pasuk Tezvav. Akiva, you want to read that? 196 Tezvav.
Yeah. Shiva Yamim.
Shivat Yom Matzah Techelu, right? Here it says you shall eat matzah what? No, stop, please. Shivas Yomim.
For 7 days.
You should eat matzah 7 days, right?
Right.
But then it says on page 197, Pasuk Yudches, Barishon.
Barishon ba'arba'a asar yom l'chodesh ba'erev tochlu matzah.
Stop. So the oral Torah says is what? That even though it says you shall eat matzahs 7 days, but the choiv, the obligation is what? The erev tochlu matzot, right? The erev tochlu matzot. Okay? That the obligation is on the first night. The rest of the Chag, when the Torah says on page 196, Shilas Yom Tochel Matzah, the rest of the Chag, it's optional. But you eat potatoes, right? But the Vilna Gaon says what Mordechai said, that even though the obligation to eat matzah is only what? The first night, but there's a kiyum ha-mitzvah to eat kiyum ha-mitzvah. Shiva Sema Matzahs Techelu, I'm a literalist, that even though the chiyuv, the obligation, is only on the first night, but if you eat matzah throughout the Chag, even though you're not obligated, but if you do, you're getting a kiyum ha-mitzvah, as opposed to a chiyuv ha-mitzvah. There are two type of positive mitzvahs. There's a chiyuv mitzvah and there's a kiyum mitzvah.
Which was the time?
What's a classic? Don't mix me up. That's all. The classic is I have to put on tefillin every day. Garel. That's a chiyuv mitzvah.
Yeah.
Do I have to put a roof? Do I have to put a fence on my roof? If I ain't got a roof, or if I have a roof but an A, what's it called? A Cape Cod? Cape Cod? What's it called? An A roof. Do I have to flatten my roof to put on a
fence?
No.
No. That's a kilo mitzvah. If I ain't got a roof, right? Or if I have an A roof, I don't have to flatten my roof and buy a roof. If you happen to have a flat roof, then it becomes what?
Where does an Arba Confot fall in with
this?
Which way? Which way?
Amen. Don't let the cat out of the bag. But the Talmud, the Talmud does say Menochot that unlike Tefillin, which is a Chiyuv mitzvah, Arba Kanfot, which is a Kiyum mitzvah. If I happen to have a beged with 4 corners, then I'm obligated to what? To put on 4. But Minat Torah, I'm not obligated like I am to buy a pair of tefillin. I'm not obligated to buy a beged of 4. If I happen to have a beged with 4 corners, then it becomes a kiyum mitzvah to what? To put on tzitzit.
Yeah.
I'm not obligated to buy a beged of 4 corners. Like I'm not obligated to flatten my roof, have an A roof, unlike tefillin. Okay? But buy one, get 613. Who would want to? Ooh, let's go to the video text. Akiva, let's go to the video text. Isn't that amazing? Okay, I'm not obligated to buy a beged of Arba Kanfois. But who doesn't want? Jews love bargains. Buy one, get.
It's a deal.
Wow, you want to free yourself of that obligation? That's a Vilda Mitzia. Look at Akiva. Let's take a look at Parashat Shlach. Parashat Shlach. Buy one, get 613. Who said that? I think I just did. Page 465. Akiva, can you read page 465, Pasuk Lamed Tet?
והיה לכם לציציס וריסם מסור וספרתם את כל מצוות השם ועשיתם עושם ולא תסורו אחרי לבבכם אחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם.
There shall be for you for fringes. You will see him. It says that. You will see him. And you will remember all the mitzvot of Hashem. So Rashi quotes the Gemara Menachos. What do you mean? It's only one. Why will I remember Uschartev is called mitzvot Hashem? It's only one out of the 613. Right? Gershom. Uschartev is called mitzvot Hashem. Why will I remember all the mitzvahs only one? Look at Rashi, please. 1 minute. Uschartev is called mitzvot Hashem. Rashi quotes the Gemara Menachos. Or Menachot. Why is it buy one, get 613? What? No? Who's good in Gematria? Gematria tzitzis is shesh me'ois. Monachutim. Wow. Buy one, get 613. Now it says, or item oto. What does that mean? Oh, you're starting now? Eritem oto, you will see him. Gemara Menachos says, you will see him. Who's him?
Hashem.
When you wear tzitzis, you're guaranteed to see the boss in the afterlife.
Whoa.
Doesn't say that by any other mitzvah. Akiva. Menachot, Bavli and Yishalmi. Eritem oto, you will see him. When you wear tzitzis, you're guaranteed to see the boss in Olam Haba.